Let's take 3 steps back in time. The photograph behind me is one of the early color photographs taken nearly a century ago in Ghent, 50 miles away from here. It has a special meaning for me because this is a scene that my grandfather has witnessed as a child. The motor car had just been introduced, but the main transportation method was still the horse-drawn carriage. And to me, it's amazing that one human being had seen the introduction of such services such as the car, telephone, television, and the internet in one lifetime. So this pace of evolution is something that we'll get back to as we dive in the deep future. Let's fast forward 50 years. We are on the east coast of the US. And this is a very important photograph. The star in it is the PDP-1 mini computer manufactured by Digital Equipment Corporation. It's an amazing machine. If you compare it to your MacBook, it is 10,000 times slower. It has 100,000 times less memory. It has 500,000 times less storage. It's 2,000 times bigger, and it costs 100 times more. What an amazing machine. In 1961, one of those machines made its way to MIT, where a student by the name of Steve Russell wrote a small computer program to take advantage of the new vector graphic display that came bundled with the machine. And this program started a revolution. It was called Space Wars. It is credited to be the first computer game in history. For the first time, an emotional connection was built between a calculating machine and its human master. This was the start of something really big. And this was 50 years ago. Last year, another American corporation launched another device which made interaction between humans and programs running on silicon chip even more natural by using human gesture as the interface. Obviously, the corporation was Microsoft, and the device was the Kinect, which you can see illustrated here by the artist Audrey Penyon in a beautiful piece called Dancing with Invisible Light. So this is you seen from the computer. The Kinect projects this array of dots in invisible light, and then use those dots to track your movement and control the computer. And this natural interaction somehow means that we live in the golden age of video games, at least from a technology perspective. Games are becoming so immersive, such high quality, that they're almost indistinguishable from the original movie on which they are based, or the original sports event upon which they're based. But that's technology, and I'm really excited because 3D holographic displays are around the corner, and it gets cooler every day. However, when I ask myself, what will people play in 50 years? Surely the answer has to be more than a new version of Nintendogs or Pet Society. So what is it? Well, it's really hard to make prediction. As many of the speakers today have talked, the world is becoming an exponential place, and if taking 30 linear steps take you across the stage, taking 30 exponential steps take you 1 billion steps further, all the way to the moon. So here, let me just talk about 3 exponential trends that are shaping the game future of my grandchildren and yours. So this is the famous exponential Moore's law, which predicts, if you think exponentially, that computers will become smarter, not than just one person, but than the entire humanity within the 50 years that we're considering here. So one of the first trends is connectedness. Games are no longer a solitary activity. As a matter of fact, they're just more people to play with. In my grandfather's world, there was 1.5 billion human beings. In mine, we just passed 7 billion. In my grandchildren's, that number will even be higher. But what's really amazing is not the size of that audience, it's really how it is connected. From postal service to telephone to the internet. It's quite amazing to see the connectedness of the population. The internet has 2 billion users. Facebook, just one company, has nearly 1 billion. So what does that mean for games? Well, it means that games have a new distribution method, a viral distribution method, which dwarfs any other method that came before it. Console took about 25 years to accumulate 100 million cumulative users. Social games take 2.5 months. This was SimSocial, which we released, and which is the number 2 game on Facebook. The pace of distribution is just unbelievable. But it's more than connectivity. In 50 years, what does that mean? That means everyone will be connected. And what does that mean? That means you can play all together. Or anyone can play against anyone. It's just a new paradigm shift in the way that we can play games. Another huge evolution is the proliferation of mobile devices, here seen in a stadium replacing lighters. And this has to do with pervasiveness of the game experience. Not only are there 5 billion mobile phones, and the last billion, by the way, was added in the last 18 months. I know it's hard to believe. But also, there are new types of mobile device being invented. Someone just mentioned the iPad did not exist only recently. But really what it's interesting to games is not so much the proliferation of devices, it's the fact that content is leaping out of the device and into the cloud so that you can have a seamless, continuous experience from your mobile phone to your tablet to, let's say, a classroom smart board, for example. Content has jumped out of the device experience. But ubiquity of access is not enough to really make pervasiveness. What you need is also lower access barriers. And those barriers are technological in nature. So think about what YouTube did for your experience watching videos online before you had to download codecs. It's also about behavioral barriers. So the fact that we remove those complex controllers that we used to play games with makes the experience much more approachable. And finally, it's also an economic barrier. Most games today have a free entry point. That's amazing. You can play a game for free. You don't have to pay anything to discover what the game is about. So pervasiveness is the second big trend. The last thing is personalization. So I don't know how many of you have watched this mini horror movie called I Dare You on Facebook. It was seen by tens of millions of people. It essentially takes your private information, your address, your personal photograph, where you've been, who your friends are, and creates on the fly a personalized horror movie. It's extremely unsettling. But essentially, one of the other exponential trend which has been much discussed here today is the explosion in personal data that gets published every day. Last year alone, there was about half a zettabyte, and I learned that a zettabyte, it's roughly, half a zettabyte is roughly 500 million terabyte of data. It's just crazy. What does that mean? That means that games have access to your custom data. Of course, you decide to share it, but if you engage in that activity, the game knows who you are, who your friends are, where you've been on holiday, where you are right now, how much you weigh, if you weighed yourself in the morning, and many other different factors. That, in turn, creates a highly personalized, unique game experience, which is different from anyone else's. And with the technology advances, with advanced neural headsets like the one from Emotive, games have not even access to your mind for control, which is really cool, but maybe also to draw from your dreams. And so the possibilities are really quite intriguing in terms of personal gaming, which is one of the big trends going on right now. So this is a picture of my young daughter. She's 1. And she's playing a game called I Write Words, learning to trace letters, which her older brother also played, and she cannot stop playing. That's the third trend. It's meaningfulness. Meaningfulness in the real world. So games have become more meaningful, connecting to sports events like FIFA. But sometimes reality is coming to the game, in the case of augmented reality games, such as this one. So connected, more pervasive, more meaningful. Those are 3 important trends. And I would love to talk about the future, which is technology-driven, like my grandchildren playing holo chess in this suite in the Ice Hotel in Sweden, Tron-inspired. But of course, the future is going to be much more emotional. And games have gone from single-player emotion to social emotions, like friendship, competition, sometimes even love. But we have a long way to go to make people cry when they play a game. So what will the next billion people play? Well, what I know for sure is that they'll play games developed by the younger people in this room, and some of the classics will probably not change. But one thing is for sure is that if I had asked my grandfather about how the next billion people would be moving from A to B, horse riding might have been the tempting answer. And yet today, we drive electric cars. So one thing I know is that the future of games is probably going to be beyond our wildest imagination. Thank you.